Hey,
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I'm your host, Dwan Twyford. I'm America's most sought after real estate investor, and I am so excited that you are here with another episode of the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. Our motto at Dwanderful is people before profits. So if that resonates with you, you're at the right place, it's the right time, and I'm your girl. And the whole reason I got involved in real estate investing to start with is I was fired from Denny's. Then I went through a really unexpected divorce. So now I was a broke single mom, fired from Denny's, and no place to go but up. So I made the decision to get involved in real estate investing. That was over 30 years ago. My daughter is 33 years old right now. I know it's hard to imagine. She's 33 years old now. And real estate investing changed my life. It absolutely changed my life, and it can change your life too. So I hope you keep following. If you're new to Dwanderful, like and subscribe. Keep following, keep up the good work, stay with us, and we're just having a lot of fun. And we're in the podcast, we're in the 300s, just like woohoo, podcasting for a while now, and it's just super exciting. So we're going to jump right in. We're jumping right in. Also go to Dwanderful.com. Dwanderful.com. DWANDERFUL. So I took Dwan and wonderful and I made a new word. So go to Dwanderful.com, opt in. I've got some free ebooks, and I also have this top 7 real estate investing strategies for today's new market. It's hundreds of pages and it's free. So opt in and you'll get this, and you'll get some ebooks, and you'll just get a whole bunch of really great stuff. So do that right now, like right now. Well, listen to me and then go opt in. Dwanderful.com. All right. So as I told you on episode 300, first of all, yay, thanks for giving me over 300 episodes. I'm so excited about that. And I told you that I'm basically out on the streets. I'm doing deals for this next year. And I'm going to keep you guys updated on what's happening, what I find, what I don't find, just whatever's going on. So I want to talk about this deal that we're working on right now. So this is Heather and Steve. Now they live up here in the mountains. Actually, they actually live just like right across the highway. I guess it's a highway, 2 lanes, like a little tiny highway, not a freeway, like a little highway. And they have actually a pretty cute house. I went over and talked to them. They have a cute house. It's a cute house. 3 bed. Let's see. It's I have to think about this for a minute. So it's a 3 bed. It's a 3 bed, 2 bath. So it's got 2 beds and a bath upstairs. Then the basement has a bed and a bath. And then it was a partially unfinished basement, but they finished the basement. So right now on the record, it's only showing it's like 980 square feet because it doesn't show the basement's finished, but it is finished. So when they get ready to go and sell it, they'll probably end up at about 1,200 square feet because the basement was done with permits and everything. It just hasn't been added to the public records. So it's a 3 bed, 2 bath official, and it shows on the tax records as a 3 bed, 1 bath, I believe. But like I said, they finished off the basement, added a bathroom, so it gives the house more value. Now, here's the situation with these two. So write the notes down with me here. So they are in 2 different mindsets. So Steve wants to just move. He wants to sell the house and move, and he wants to move out to a place here in Colorado. It's called Hartselle. Now Hartselle is like really remote, like you go past where we live in Bailey, and you go past Fairplay, and you go past that and past that, and then you go to like the middle of nowhere where there's a little tiny town, and like like actually people who want to live off the grid. They don't want anyone to know who they are. They've had issues in the past, or people that just are really very much anti people live in Hartselle. Like, it's really fun. It's a neat place to go and visit for the day. But it's like you honestly, when you're there, you feel like you got to kind of look around, like, yeah, I should get out of here before like the sun goes down. But it's a really cute town. And it's actually one of the things on the list of places to see in Colorado. So it was a ghost. It was a gold mining town, and so in the gold rush, like, all these people moved out to Hartselle, and this one couple that they named the town after, they were having no luck with finding gold. So they thought, hey, you know what we could do? We could feed the miners. So they opened up a restaurant to feed the miners. And then they opened up a little store with goods and flour and anything you would need for mining. Opened a little store with mining supplies. And eventually, this couple became super wealthy and owned the whole town, named the town after themselves because they supplied all the needs for the gold miners. And then, obviously the gold rush was, years and years and years and years ago. And so now it's just a cute town, has a lot of touristy stuff during the day. But if you go there and like go out off of the main downtown, there's a lot of really mountain people, like isolated away from society people. So that's where Steve wants to go. Heather does not want to live out so remote and so isolated. And she is in, so you know how I talk about the different mindsets of the homeowners? They're in like denial, anger, acceptance, embarrassment, fear. They go through the different mindsets. You can look at some of my previous titles to shows, and it'll show like the mindsets of the homeowner. So you can look at that and listen or watch it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So he is in acceptance. She is in, she's not in denial. I don't even know. She's not necessarily in an exact mindset. She would be more denial than anything. She wants to sell the house, make a big enough profit that they can buy another house. She does not want to rent. So she goes, I do not want to rent. Rent is for losers. If I have to rent, I've always owned a house. And I'm like, okay, so she's in, I guess, a phase of denial. So I went over, I met with them. I spent about 45 minutes with them. And Steve's like, I just want to sell. I want to move to Hartselle. I want to be out of here. Like, that's it. I'm out. I'm done. I don't want this. I just want to rent for a while. Let's rent. Let's regroup. And she's like, no, we're going to sell the house. We're going to make a profit. We're going to buy another house. And I don't care if we live in Hartselle or not, as long as we buy. I'm not renting a house. Now, the denial part is you cannot be like 15 months behind on mortgage payments and be 30 days away from the sale date and buy another house. Like, no bank is going to lend you any money. So these are the numbers on the house. They owe $262,000, and it's worth about $515,000. So they have approximately $250,000 worth of equity. So she believes they can put it on the market for $515,000, sell it for retail. They'll have $250,000, and they can buy another house. They can put $100,000 on a house, and that all sounds well and fine. But here's the big problem: they are hoarders, and I mean straight up hoarders. And the house is such a mess. Like, there was no place for me to sit. I sat on like a square of the couch, and there is just nothing but blankets and rugs and trash and boxes, and the dining room table has like 5 feet of stuff on it. And you look around the whole house, it is 100% hoarders. So it's really hard to even see like what kind of work it needs underneath all of the clutter. Like, it's cute outside, needs to be painted for sure. The inside has some log trimming and things like that, so it's really cute. But if you just look in the bathroom, it's just all of it. It's just like, you're never going to be able to sell it for retail, because what's going to happen is end user, and an end user is the person buying a house to like live in it for themselves. Any end user is just going to look at that house and be like, no, because the average person could not get past the amount of stuff that's in the house. I mean, I walked in, I was just like, wow, because the house is small and it's got stuff stacked like to the ceilings. And they live there, the husband and the wife, and they have a child who's maybe 10. So cute. She was like, Miss Dwan, could I offer you a cold beverage? And I was like, oh, honey, thank you. I have a bottle of water with me because honestly, I was afraid to drink out of one of their cups. Like, it's like so bad. But the little daughter is like, can I show you my bedroom? I said, sure. So I have my lights here in my studio. She's got lights all over her walls and purple lights and pink lights. And she loved my hair. And she's just adorable. And she's worried about moving and being away from her friends. So I talked to her about, getting a fresh start. And I talked to the mom, I talked to the dad. And so I'm going to go back over and talk to them in the next week. And I'm going to see what I can do. But I left them the fed up package that gives them their 10 options. Now, initially, I thought, I could probably give them $30,000 or $40,000, and they could move out, and they could rent, and we could fix it up and sell it to her. Not me fix it, but sell it to one of my rehabbers. But she is not parting with that equity. So if you remember us going through the Fed Up program, it has the 10 options that homeowners have to buy time to stay in their home, and we make money on options 3, 4, and 5. Option 3 is an equity partnering deal. So the only way I can see them making this work is to do equity partnering deal with us, because we got this lead. Some realtor looked at it and she was horrified. So she somehow knew Felicia and told Felicia, like, hey, I know that you work in the foreclosure side of things. So let me just give you this lead. And if you get it, great. And if you don't, that's fine. I can't deal with it. So a couple different realtors have already been there and they have all passed. Because from a regular end user state of mind, the house is a disaster. It's so bad. It's like, wow. Like, I shouldn't even say this. Her toenails, honest to God, they're like 2 inches long. And they're just so filthy. It's like, oh my God, this poor little girl lives here. They've got a dog. So, but the husband spunks outside. So he's on the porch and spunked outside. I went in, I talked to them. And so I just explained, I said, listen, the reality is you're not going to sell your house like this. Like, the average person cannot look past all of this. And I said, I understand that being a hoarder is, I didn't plug my speaker in. I said, I understand that being a hoarder is denial. I've watched the shows. I know that And her mother happened to be there, just staying with him for a couple of days. She said, I keep telling her. So she has other people telling her and trying to help her and explaining about how bad the situation actually is that they're in. So here's what she did. She got the bank to work out a loan modification. Now, how she got this, I will never know, because they only have $1,300 a month as income. That's her income because her husband got hurt on a job, and it's some kind of a job where he works like construction for cash or something like that. So he has no money and he has no disability and he has no workers' comp or anything coming. So they're living solely on her $1,300. So she applied for a COVID relief package for the state of Colorado. So each state has like this much money in funds. If you qualify, they'll help you with a loan modification. Or no, I'm sorry. She qualified for a loan modification with the bank based on approval by the state. But here's the thing. Her payment was $1,700. Now the payment is $2,300. So her first payment, she has to have the documents in today. So tomorrow, yeah, she has 2 days to get the papers. Now you'll be seeing this in November. I'm recording this on the 26th of October. She has till the 28th to get her documents in. So I'm going to drive over to her house today because I feel like if I call her, she's not calling me back. So, but she wants to do something. She's like, well, I want to do something. I just don't know. So if she gets the documents in, the bank said that they will do a forbearance, a loan modification. But her new payment's going to be $2,300, and the first payment starts December 1st. So she's thinking I'll just mail it in, and then somehow in the month of November, we'll sell the house. We'll make hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then we won't have to worry about the payment that's coming in December. So she is in some denial for sure. He's like, listen, we need to work with this woman. We need to take this deal. We need to move. We don't have any time. So what I'm offering them, and I'll let you know if it works out, is I'm offering them what we call equity partnering. So this is where we would typically make up the back payments. Then we would rehab the house and fix whatever needs to be fixed. And then we would put it on the market and we would sell it for retail. So if we sold it for retail, she has $250,000 worth of equity. So the way we do it, and I talked about equity partnering on some of my past shows. So again, if I talk about something like, hey, I don't know what that is, just look at my titles and go back and listen to an equity partnering. Because on a show like where that's the actual subject line, I taught it in detail. So what I'm proposing, so I'll have to see if they do it, is that we give them $5,000 and they have to move out. Because any equity partnering deal where we would have to come in and fix it up and then sell it retail, the homeowners have to be out. Because I mean, first of all, you can't fix up a house with people living in it, because when you tear out their cabinets or their walls and you tear their stuff out, they're like, but I built those cabinets myself, and they're all attached to everything. So we'd give them about $5,000. They would move, probably rent over in Hartselle. Now, since they got a loan modification approved and the payments due the 1st of December, we wouldn't actually have to bring up any back payments. We would have to make the payment in December and January and February, however many months we'd have to make the payment while we fix up the house. Now, my son is really big in equity partnering. So I would take this house and I would wholesale it to him. He's not getting it free. He's got to pay mama for the deal because, again, I'm doing deals for this whole year and you're following along with me, and he's going to have to pay me. So I'm going to, if we're able to put this together, I'm going to get 15,000. I'm only going to get 15,000 down. And cause I'm just wholesaling the contract to them. Normally they have to bring up the back payments, but they'll just have to keep up with the loan modification. And then they're going to have to clean the house out, and then they're going to have to fix it up. But honestly, with as much stuff that's in it, it's kind of hard to know exactly what it needs. But let's say they spend 50,000. We'll just make the numbers easy. So let's say they spend 50,000 on rehab. Okay. And there's approximately $250,000 worth of equity at this point. They owe 262, it's worth about 515. Let's just say it sells for that. All the numbers work perfect in the world. And they put in 50,000. You know what? We'll say 35,000 because I'm asking them to give me 15. So they put in this way I can just do the math in my head real quick. So they put in 35,000. They give me 15, so that's 50. So they have $50,000 in the deal. Okay, they have $50,000 in the deal. So the 250 equity, 50,000 would go back to them for what they put into the deal. And then when we do an equity partnering deal with a homeowner, we charge something that we call a financial risk assessment fee, an FRA, a financial risk assessment fee. And the FRA is 10% of whatever the house sells for. So if the house sells for around 500,000, they're going to get 50,000 as the financial risk assessment fee. So then you would take the 250. Let's see, let me just I'm going to do this with you on the phone here real quick. Okay, so then you take the 250 in equity and you subtract the 15,000 that they pay us and subtract the 35,000 in rehab and payments and subtract the $50,000 risk assessment fee. And that leaves 150,000. Is that right? 250,000 equity, minus 15, minus 35, minus this. So that leaves $150,000 worth of equity. Now, the $150,000 worth of equity divided by 2 is going to be 75,000. So the homeowners would get 75,000. Will would get 75,000, but on top of his 75,000, so he gets his 75,000. On top of that, he gets his 50,000 risk assessment fee. So he makes 125. He makes 125, and they make 75. So basically, with an equity partner deal, we split the equity with the homeowner. So someone that has a large amount of equity like this, $250,000 of equity, a lot of people know that they have something of value, and they just won't walk away. Like, oh, I'm just like, I'd rather lose it than give it to you, which is kind of where she's at. He's like, sign the paper, sign the paper, sign the papers. Let's go, let's go. Let's sell this house and let's get out of here. We're gonna lose everything and have nothing. So they're just right there on the fence with each other. So I am hoping that they mail that loan modification in. It has to be in 2 days, or they'll lose the house for sure. Now, the foreclosure sale date is set. The sale date is set for like November or something. So if they send in the loan mod, the bank will stop the sale date. If they don't, they'll still have a sale date. Now, she could file bankruptcy and postpone the sale. They could come up with all the money, which is not going to happen. I mean, they got approved for this loan mod, and I'm like bewildered about how they got approved for a loan modification with a $2,300 a month payment when she's living on fixed income of $1,300. But they got it approved. So that's actually a good thing for us, because all we have to do is just make those payments while the house sells. So let's just say, in the perfect world, they live there through the month of November. I assigned this, so I would wholesale this. So this would be part of my 30,000 in 30 days challenge. I would wholesale this and make $15,000 wholesaling it. And then Will and Tyler would come in and fix it all up from the top to the bottom, give them some money to move out, and then get it all on the market. And then the financial risk assessment fee is 10% of whatever it sells for. So the boys get reimbursed for what they pay us. They get reimbursed for all the repairs and the mortgage payments. They get reimbursed for every dollar that they spend. Then they get 10% because they're taking the giant risk. They're taking the risk of everything. And then they split what's left over. So in the perfect world, the homeowners would end up with 75. They'd end up with 75 plus the 50, because 10% of the 500. They end up with 125. Homeowners end up with 75. Now, Will and Tyler have done a bunch of these. This is like the thing that they like to do the most, which I'm happy for them, because I don't want to rehab anymore. So it's like, no, that works perfect for me. I'm not interested in jumping back in and starting to rehab houses, especially not up here in the mountains, and especially not with the winter setting in. Like, no interest whatsoever. So they just closed on one week ago, and almost the exact same numbers, to be honest. And anyway, they made they made $50,000 a piece. So they made 50 a piece, 100. Plus, I guess they made 125. So I guess it was kind of the same deal. And the homeowners made whatever their amount was, and everybody was happy. Homeowners were happy. They didn't lose their house to foreclosure. So they were in and out of that house in 2 weeks. So they went in, they rehabbed it, and they were done in 2 weeks. They just go 24 hours a day, knock out all the rehab, make it look beautiful. And then they put it up on the market, and it was on the market for less than 2 weeks. And then it sold, and they had a 3-week closing. And I know he just made 50 grand was his share, just like last week. So this is an exact kind of a deal where, as a real estate investor, you may come across a deal and it's not a deal that you would want, but other investors, because you're following everything Dwanderful tells you to do, and other investors, and someone else, like, hey, this would be a good deal for that person. And that you can wholesale that deal to somebody else who could take the deal. Now, if I was wholesaling that deal to anyone else besides my son, I would make them pay me 30 grand because it's a really good deal. And I wouldn't be like, no, you're not giving me $15,000. But he is my son and he does a lot for me and he helps me and he travels with me. And, you know, he helps me with just like everything under the sun. So for him, I would give him a little bit better deal. But I'm still not taking less than 15 because, you know, I got to split it with the girls. So it's not that much for all of us if you split just a little bit. But it is a good deal. Now, will this deal happen? I don't know. Felicia's talked to them. I've talked to them. I went in person. The numbers and they laid out here's how we equity partner. So if they end up with $75,000, they could go to hard sold. And over there, they could probably find a $200,000 house and they could put 75,000 down and they could buy a house. They want to own a home. She does. He just wants to rent. He just wants to break off all of it. So we'll see because when you have a couple like that and one wants this and one wants that, and they're in two different mental states, you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Now, if this deal doesn't work out, I only have 1 hour invested. I went to their house and I spent 45 minutes there. What's it, 15 minutes or 15 minutes? So I have 2 hours invested, tops, 2 hours. If it works out, I'll make 15 grand. If it doesn't, I invested 2 hours. But I gave them good advice. I gave them a fed up package. I went through all the options that they have and trying to help them make a good decision. So, but I've got, like I said, a husband and a wife. One is super motivated, like, let's do it, let's sign right now. And the other one's like, I want to buy a house, I want to sell this in retail. And she's not seeing the mess. So if I'm able to get back over there, I'll take some pictures of the inside. So I'll show you and I'll say, hey, remember Heather and Steve, we're following this deal right now. I'll put some pictures up here and show you some pictures. So if you loved the show today, and if you had learned anything, if you laughed, if you had a good time, if you're just happy here to be with me, I want you to leave me a 5-star review and I want you to subscribe. So I'm just going to take a second. I'm going to read a couple of 5-star reviews. And this one says, I am so blessed. Dwan is extremely skilled, patient, and full of helpful advice with the tools to build your business. It's so on point in so many ways, says Karen Gravalva. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, from the United States. This other one, it says 5 stars, insight, encouragement, and community. I love listening to the valuable information she shares as well as the variety of guests she interviews. The content is always so inspiring. Darlene Atkins from the United States, and one last one, 5 stars. It says, must listen if you have a business. I am so glad I found this podcast. I've listened to many different real estate investing podcasts over the past few years, but this, by far, is the best one out there. Thank you. Dwan is so genuine, insightful, and knowledgeable. I learn something every single episode. And that's from Irish Shore from the United States. So I print these off and I just read them to you straight up off the internet. And if you would like a chance to have your 5-star review read, first of all, you have to leave one. So I'm just going to ask you to do me a favor, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And remember that the truth is in the red letters. Ciao.